What is up, YouTube? Today we are going to be doing my divisional round predictions. As most of you guys know, TikTok is probably going to shut down in the next couple days. So because of that, I want to start doing some more YouTube videos, long form content, all of that stuff. And everybody that did end up subscribing to my YouTube from my TikTok, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I'm still going to be doing the same content I have been doing for years on shorts, and that's not going to stop. But I do also want to start doing more YouTube style videos anyway, so I'm starting that with today. Without further ado, let's get into the predictions. First up, we have the Houston Texans going to Arrowhead to play the Kansas City Chiefs. Houston put up a pretty good performance last week against LA. They forced Herbert into making a lot of mistakes and defensively really played a great game. Offensively, they definitely struggled in the first half, but started to put it together in the second half and ended up absolutely wiping the floor. I do think Houston is going to make this a lot closer of a game than people are expecting, because I know a lot of people are just expecting the Chiefs to just absolutely blow them off since it's playoff Mahomes. And while I am going to end up predicting the Chiefs to win this game, I do still think this is going to be a very close game and would be very surprised if it isn't a one-possession game in the fourth quarter. I'm expecting Joe Mixon to perform well and CJ Stroud to make plays, but I think it's going to be just not enough. I got the Chiefs 28-24. Next up, we have the Washington Commanders going against the Detroit Lions. As someone who lives in the DMV area, I am very proud of the Commanders. I'm great to see what they've been doing this year with Jaden Daniels. And regardless of what happens the rest of the season, it is a success how far they've gone, especially after winning that playoff game. And for the Lions, I mean, they have the 1 seed. They've been the best team in the NFC, arguably in the NFL this season. And they also have the playoff experience from last season when they went all the way to the NFC Championship. If the Commanders were going against the Eagles, Rams, really anybody else in the NFC, I would definitely be tempted to end up picking them. But because it is the Detroit Lions and how good they have truly been, especially at running and pounding the ball, especially because Montgomery is coming back as well, I just have to pick the Lions. I think it's going to be close in the first half and the Lions kind of pull away towards the end. I'm going to say 30-20. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Rams going against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I did predict LA to win last week, but I did not expect them to play as well as they did. They absolutely destroyed Minnesota from start to finish. And especially what they were doing on the defensive side of the ball was extremely impressive. They tied a playoff sack record at 9. That is ridiculous. And on the Eagles side, I mean, they've been performing well really all season. And while I definitely don't think they played their best game last week against the Packers, they had a lot of opportunities. Their defense gave the offense where the offense really didn't do anything. I mean, they only scored 2 touchdowns in the whole game. One of them was on a 20-yard drive, and their defense was practically making them have the ball every 2 seconds. I definitely still think the Eagles are very much a team that could go all the way to the Super Bowl if they end up winning this game. But honestly, I have to go with the Rams. Before the playoffs started, I predict them to go to the NFC Championship, and I am sticking with that prediction. Give me the Rams over the Eagles. Score off the top of my head, I'm going to say 25-22. And now the game that we have all been waiting for, the Buffalo Bills versus the Baltimore Ravens. Before I get into this game, I always like to let people know my bias because I am a Baltimore Ravens fan. But with that said, I predicted the Ravens to lose 6 of their games this season, and I really have, over the years of doing sports creation, I've been doing this for about 5 years now, I've tried to lower my bias to a sense where I'm just speaking how I genuinely feel. And when I thought about this game, I came to the conclusion that the Bills might be a better team than the Ravens, but the Ravens just match up so badly for the Bills. Like, when you look at the things the Ravens do the best, it's the things that the Bills do the worst. Like, when you really look at the things that the Ravens are the best at, it's the things that the Bills have been struggling against. Like, what do the Ravens do the best? Well, they have probably the best rushing attack, maybe second best if you want to see Eagles, in the NFL. The Bills have had one of the worst run defenses in the NFL and have let teams that haven't run the ball well at all run on them. What's another disadvantage for the Bills? Well, they are a very undersized D-line. The Ravens happen to be probably the biggest O-line in the NFL. The Bills are really good at forcing turnovers, but the Ravens really haven't turned the ball over all year. The Bills secondary has been holding their own this year, but the Ravens aren't really going to throw the ball at all anyway because Zay Flowers is out. Then you switch over to the Bills offensively. Now, obviously, they have Josh Allen, who is very hard to manage. But if anybody is good against mobile quarterbacks, it's the Ravens defense, who goes against the most mobile quarterback in NFL history every single week in practice. That is not to say that the Ravens are going to be able to just stop Josh Allen, because nobody has. But when you look at the stats of Josh Allen against the Ravens, it is a real thing. The Ravens are good against mobile quarterbacks. The most passing yards Josh Allen has had in a Ravens game is just over 200. Every other game, he's had less than 200 passing yards. Last time he had 74. And when you look at the other strengths of the Bills offense, it's really been their run game. They've fed off of the run game this season, especially because James Cook has been such a great running back. But the Ravens happen to have one of the best run defenses in the NFL. They're actually ranked 1 statistically. And really, nobody has been able to run the ball effectively on the Ravens all season. And the Bills' one weakness on offense, if they have one, is their wide receivers. No disrespect to Shakir or Amari Cooper, but they're really just like middle of the road receivers. And I know Bills fans will agree with me because all season they've been saying, Josh Allen doesn't have the weapons. And yeah, I mean, his guys aren't at the top of the league like other teams have. And at the same time, that's probably where the Ravens' weakness is really just Brandon Stephens. Their one corner, he's really not played well at all this season, and he's their really weak link on the team. And the other part of this game that I don't think I have seen anybody talk about is the fact that the Bills have started off slow in almost every game this year. Yes, there have been exceptions like the Chiefs and Lions game, but when you look over the course of the season, they have been trailing at halftime in more games than they have been leading. And for a team that is 13-3, that is ridiculous. Why does that matter? Well, the Ravens have been leading at halftime in 13 of their games this year and only lost 2 of them. Both of them were before week 5 ended. And that's why I think the Ravens probably have the edge more than anything else, because I see them getting up to a lead at the beginning of the game, and I'm just not sure that the Bills are going to work their way back into the game. Like, let's be honest, if the Ravens are up 17-3 close to halftime, does anybody think the Bills are going to come back? Especially when you have Derrick Henry that has been just running over teams towards the end of the season. I know a lot of Bills fans have been like, oh, well, our defense wasn't as good at that time of year when we played you guys last time when you won 35-10. Yeah, but before that moment, our offense really wasn't clicking either. That was the first game of the season where the Ravens offense looked good, and it has been going up from there. And that's why I think the couple players that the Bills are having back aren't really going to make a difference, especially because they're mostly linebackers and secondary players, which is obviously going to help the Bills, but at the same time, will a linebacker or secondary player really help stop the run game from Derrick Henry? If it was a bunch of D linemen, I would understand it because, hey, you can stuff the line, and that's how you stop Derrick Henry. You have to hit him before he gets past the line of scrimmage. But I doubt any linebacker or player in the secondary is going to make really any difference in Derrick Henry's run game. Like I said earlier, I think the Ravens will get up to a big lead. I'm going to predict that the Ravens are up 17-3 at halftime. And at the end of the score, I think the Bills are going to start to come back, but the Ravens are going to end up winning 34-24. And those are my divisional predictions for this upcoming week in the NFL playoffs. I went 5-1 last week in the wild card thanks to the Chargers who happened to sell me. Funny enough, the one game that I bet on this week was the one game that I got wrong. Thank you, LA. But I hope everybody has a great afternoon. I plan on doing a lot more of these type of videos. Hope you guys have a good one.